Obviously, it's easy to, I guess, from any other distance, look at different options and look at sea changes, tree changes, etc. I mean, the truth be told, young kids, ideally, potentially in school and everything else that's entrenched when you do have lives, I do like the opportunity to look at sea changes, tree changes, but most of the time, as a father of two young kids myself, I know it's more or less impossible, looking at everything else that goes with it. But if we look at the practical aspects, for myself personally, I think Simon's already brought up a few key points there. Is it's tough when you buy with the intention as an owner-occupier to then say, well, it's great in theory to hang on to it as an investment, but practically it's very difficult to figure out how that plays out. For me, I'd probably really want to sit down and see, from an accountancy perspective, what is some good strategic property advice that might come from that, as well as on a mortgage brokerage perspective, and looking at loan structures, outstanding debt, equity that may be available, and then looking at different options that come there. Personally, I'm a big proponent of the whole rent vesting cycle. I personally rent where I want to live. I've invested in multiple places elsewhere. It works for me, it works for my family. It might not work for most, but it also must be probably in place with the best strategic decisions. Obviously, there's going to be capital gains tax-free exemptions from that family home, and really looking at where to appropriate that property or the money from that property best. But where we see the Sydney market, personally, I think similar to what Simon said and what Andrew said earlier in the segment, we're probably somewhere in the middle. I think we've probably got a little bit further to slip. I think certain markets are probably going to do better than others. Places like Newtown, inner city, in that inner west of Sydney, probably better position from the overarching supply aspect. I don't think in the freestanding, or at least the semi-detached dwelling aspects, they're not going to be running out of vogue anytime soon. So I think they're going to be well positioned if they choose to hold on. But ideally, I'd want to be getting some advice from, if they sell, what's the implications? If they rent, what are the options? What's the difference in the cost versus actually having a tenant in there, and the mortgage difference in between, and then effectively figure out where your money can work best for you and where you want to live long term. Yeah.
All right, so some big decisions for Emmy there in Newtown.